Good afternoon YouTube and anyone else watching this video, and thank you for watching another video from Coolice charge cases and power supplies. I just wanted to do another quick video for the moment. There's another case obviously in progress, but I wanted to do a quick video of a little design I've made for the next case in line. Now I'm going to fit shortly. Actually I need to create the hole in the side of the case, but anyway, this will be fitted. Now you can obviously see what it is on screen. You probably won't understand it fully yet, but we will get into that in a minute. But if I turn it around, it might start to answer obviously a few questions, because there's obviously a negative lead and a positive lead. Now they're not necessarily for power in, but they are going to be for power out and potentially power in as well, the way I'm going to wire it in. But basically the next case on my bench wanted to be, I use the word waterproof, but I'll use the word waterproof loosely, because waterproof implies that you could drop it in a river and no water would obviously penetrate the case. That's not going to be the case with this one, because there is still vents on the case, but I have designed them in such a way that it would repel or stop rainwater from entering the case, if you like, when it is in use. The plan with this one is to resist the elements, would perhaps be a good word to use. So when the customer is on site, this is obviously going to be for UAV companies, so when the customer is on site, he's going to have the charge case by the side of his van that's being powered or from the AC. He wants to be able to close the lid to keep the batteries obviously secure within the case, primarily I suppose when it's raining, because if it's a nice day he'll have the lid open so he can see a bit more what's going on. So everything about this case then is geared towards stopping elements getting in if need be. If the lid is closed, we still need to obviously maintain full functionality of the case, so it still needs to charge, it still needs to expel any hot air that is obviously generated, or any heat that is generated from within the case. So that is obviously going to be done via some inlet vents, which I'm yet to design or purchase something that's going to suit my needs. I need to double check on that. And also then the fans then are obviously connected and mounted. I've created custom mounts on the back of the case, which I might try and show you actually in a minute as well. And obviously vent shrouds, as I call them, so that the air is guided out and downwards. And of course then if the case is out when it rains, the rainwater is then just going to hit these shrouds and roll straight off of them. It's got no way to then, unless rainwater can go backwards, it's not going to go into the fans and conversely then inside the case, and get, should I say, inside the case. So another issue if you like, or another requirement for this case, was to maybe be able to use either a power out to an external Revo Electrics PL6 charger in this case, or have the potential to put power in. So if the customer is away from their DC supply, their AC supply, they can use a leisure battery or car battery, or in this case a battery that's going to be mounted in their van to power the internal charges of the case. So I've done it before. You've probably seen some of my other videos where I've got an EC5 perhaps, or an XT90 mounted on the side of the case, that obviously doubles up not only to get power into the case, but of course then if you're charging using the case off AC power, that connection then is live with DC 25 volts output and can be used to power an external charger to the case. So in this case then he's got obviously two PL8s which are going to be mounted within the case, and an external PL6 I think, I'm led to believe, so he can obviously power that from the case. So again, keeping in theme with the need to try and keep everything waterproof, I needed some way to obviously generate this power output, and at the same time as well, because this case is having a bump controller so that it can be monitored wirelessly while it's in use, I needed a way perhaps as well to maybe split get the additional two channels of the bump controller to the outside of the case, so that with the Revo Electrics PL6 for example, he could then, if he wanted to, connect that on the third channel of the bump controller so he can monitor the external charger wirelessly as well. So I needed to create something that was, as best as possible, resist water ingress if possible, and obviously provide a neat mounting solution. So this which you've been watching for the last few minutes while I've been gassing away in the background, is what I've come up with. So if we start from the side, we've got obviously perhaps the front would perhaps be better. We've got obviously the front moulding. Again, this is all 3D printed, designed by myself and 3D printed. So we've got obviously the front moulding, and then obviously if I turn it around, then we've obviously got that protrudes then, should I say, to the back. And then this plate here is free moving, and it's got nuts, positions for nuts in the back, 2 at the top, 1 at the bottom. So the idea is I'm going to obviously cut the aperture, and I'm going to get the template. Excuse me. I'm going to cut the aperture out in the side of the case, which is that middle rectangle with the rounded corners and the red crosses in the middle to denote where I need to put drill the main holes. And then this plate then will go at the back and then be secured via the 3 screws through the front, clamping this assembly. So if I push it, I'll do it that way, that'll clamp the case within there. So like that, you've got to push it straight because it's quite a nice fit. That'll clamp the side of the case between there. Now what this will then give me, if I open the flap, now I'll try and do it one-handed. I have created a little notch right there, so I'll lay it on its side, just put my finger in the side and flick it up. With that mounted on the side of the case, that's what the customer will then see when he opens the flap. So he'll have an EC5 at the bottom. The two hollow rectangles there at the moment, they will have, if I get one, I think I've got one out on my bench, they will have, not this one for example, I'm just using that temporarily, but they will have female servo plug holders or servo plug sockets mounted in them, so that then the little 3-wire signal lead can go from the external charger into the bump controller. So if I open it up again, and now you notice there's a proper little it properly little snaps shut there, and there's a reason for that, because I've put a little magnet, I've sunk a little magnet into the top. I didn't necessarily want the flap, because obviously that's a separate flap that's obviously then 3D printed, and obviously with the screw acting as the hinge point, the pivot point. I didn't want the flap to be able to float about or flap about in the breeze when it wasn't being used. So I needed some way of obviously keeping it closed, but then that would allow easy access if need be. So the little notch there, so you can obviously get your finger into the side. And then of course then I've strategically placed the 3rd screw at the bottom there in line with the magnet. So if I close it, you can obviously hear the little snap as it snaps shut. So you do have to then just get your finger in to break. So if I shake it, the flap won't open, which is good. So mission accomplished with that. I'm quite pleased with this. It took a little while to do, to mess around with, but I've done it. So I'm quite pleased. So I can see, oh, there it goes. The magnet's pulled it close. So obviously then, I can open it again. So that's going to be mounted on the side of the case. And obviously then the magnet keeps it closed. So it's going to be quite neat actually when it's done. So from the side, all you're going to see from the outside of the case, which I probably can't lift up, but all you're going to see is that from that dividing line in the middle there, you're just going to see the bit, this front section here. So it's going to look quite nice. That's quite good. And then obviously then I've got a rotary connection, because again this charge case is going to be using server power supplies. We need to decouple the server supplies when using external power some way. So I've got a ring terminal there because that's going to go to a rotary isolate switch, and then obviously I've got a bullet connector there then, which is going to connect this to the common negative within the case. So that's, again, if need be, that can easily be disconnected from the case. But let's try and, without showing you the clutter in my workshop, because I've got a bin there beside me, let's turn the case around quick and show you a little bit of the fans. So there we go. So this case obviously using DPS 1200 units with my custom connection boards on the front, so for quick release, which is good as normal. We've got fan connection there as well coming there. The fans are 12 volts from memory, so I've wired them in series, so that then obviously drops the 12 volts, or should I say that drops the 24 volts and makes it more usable then because it's split across the two 12-volt fans quite nicely, so they don't burn out by receiving a higher voltage than they need to. So basically we've got obviously a 3D printed fan shroud then on this side, which obviously doubles up as not only a mounting plate but also the fans mount to it. I do have some photographs of these, which once I eventually do a proper video of this case, I will try and incorporate them into the video like I did last time if I can. So they obviously mount, obviously the backing plate then obviously mounts to the back of the case. I have had to obviously cut a rectangular hole, because obviously the air then obviously is drawn in here through the fan up here, and then obviously curls round under here and then out the back of the case. So there's a small rectangular hole there. Obviously it's referenced then to the 4 mounting points. I've got 4 mounting points on each plate, and obviously there's 2 separate plates because there's 2 fans. I always seem to run with 2 fans. They work quite well, and where they're placed as well, that works out quite nice because they're right at the back of the power supply. So as the power supplies then draw cooling air through the front, warm it as it goes over the warmed components, and then obviously their internal fans then throw it out the back, it's then going to be picked straight up by these fans and whoosh out the back of the case. So I'm quite pleased with that. So that works quite good. The eagle-eyed among you will obviously notice the AC in. This is a little bit different as well. Again, because of the waterproofness, mind my foot in the video shot. Let me see if I can get the connector. It's obviously, it hasn't got the gubbins in the middle of it, but you can get the idea. The connector block that we needed also needed to be waterproof. You don't mess around with AC when you get to this sort of level. If you're outside and there's the potential that it's going to get wet, you certainly don't want live voltage getting wet. So I had to look around for a solution for that, and this AC connection plug was it. It wasn't cheap. It costs about 36 Great British pounds from memory, from RS Components, I think, off the top of my head, but it is waterproof, so that's good. So it comes with its own socket. I had to obviously solder wires directly to it, couldn't use crimps on this one, and then comes with its own little outer bit, which has got a rubber sealing ring, and then obviously a rubber cap as well. That was extra. So that'll just then plug in, it just pushes in, and it's got rubber sealing rings as well in there, I think, from memory. Yep, there it is. It's got an O-ring there as well, so when it's in and connected, no water gets into that AC connection whatsoever. So that's good, that's safe. That's going to mean I can let that go to the customer, and he can, if he gets caught in a rain shower, we haven't got to worry about him getting electrocuted and then coming away with a different hairdo. So if I close the lid quick, I can then flick this case around and then show you the back sides of these fans. So this is what the back of the case will look like, and this is what I was saying about the outer shrouds. So here we go, you can see they're angled down. Basically the air will come in and then obviously just curves around and curls and then just gets fired straight down. So as any water then comes down from the top here, it's literally just going to hit the slope and then just roll straight off, which is good. And obviously then with any airflow then coming out here, it's just going to get blown off. So that's quite handy. I can show you the bottoms a little bit. I wonder if I can get some light. Can't really see much. Yeah, can't really see anything there. It's just a dark hole because obviously it's going straight into the dark case. Again, this case, a little bit bigger case, wheels and a carry handle with obviously an extendable handle, which is quite nice. I'll close one of the bits, stand it up. There's the little, going back to what I was saying earlier, there's the little rotary isolator switch. So in that position, the AC, the power supplies inside are going to be providing in the on position. So with that in the on position, the AC input on the side of the case is then going to be obviously powering the internal power supplies. So of course that there then is obviously then going to switch the DC 24 volt from coming out from the power supplies then to the chargers. If I turn it off, that's going to sever the DC, the positive DC line from the power supplies to the chargers, and then of course then the little unit that I'm going to mount on the side will obviously be the source of power input to the chargers. So going back to the case, it's got an extendable handle then to drag it. It's quite good. Excuse the mess and the keyboard in the background, but it's there. So it's going to be quite a nice little case. It's not necessarily going to be a light case again. Again, it's not really it's not planned to be a light case. This is planned to be a workhorse case. So it's going to be quite nice. Thanks for watching, and keep your eyes peeled for the full video once this is actually finished. So you'll get some finished video and see what it looks like. Cheers.